So, hello and welcome to the very first episode of Generation X podcast, where we dive deep into stories, entrepreneurship, and strategies which are shaping entrepreneurs today. I am your host, Shruti Singh. In this series, we will bring a conversation about visionaries, entrepreneurs, and the thinkers who are not only shaping their businesses but also building meaningful lives. And for our inaugural episode, I couldn't think of a better guest to set the tone than Peter Ashby Smith. So, Peter is an MBA student and a leader in Australian higher education and EdTech Mentor also, and someone who describes himself as a Stoic Futurist. Today we will talk about how entrepreneurs can shape their thrive in changing world, why resilience beats hustle, and how what it takes to play the long game in Indian markets for Indian entrepreneurs for their
Great.
businesses.
So, hello Peter, welcome to the Generation X. To start with, you have a such unique mix, higher education and leadership, a tech startup, and even the title of a stoic futurist. So, how do these pieces fit together for you? And what does being a stoic futurist really mean for the entrepreneurs and for you also in today's life?
Hmm. Yeah, thank you for the question. I certainly have had a eclectic career so far. Hopefully it's far from over. I really began working in IT, mostly for
Sorry.
larger organizations, or at least organizations with a lot of structure, part of the rat race, as they say. Eventually, I found that somewhat unfulfilling and decided to change careers, moved into higher education. I had a love of learning and things like that. Unfortunately, higher education is a bunch of big monolithic institutions as well. So a different kind of rat race, I guess you could call it. And it just really highlighted for me how big a lot of these, organizations and a lot of these systems are, and how slow they are to adapt to change. Um, and that was certainly highlighted when I started my MBA program in 2022, where I got to start working with a lot of ed tech, a lot of startups, as just as things I'd run into in the program, and I just really learned the opposite about how they work. I learned how to experiment, to scale, to think about growth. And along the way, I started working with AI, which, of course, really hit the world hard in 2021, the latter parts of 2021, Gen AI in particular, automation more generally. That stuff really opened my eyes to the power of this stuff, the power of automation, to free us from the drudgery of work, and enabled me in some small part to focus on deeper work, on more meaningful stuff, and kind of let me see what was possible. And that's kind of where Stoicism came in. Stoicism is this ancient idea that I'm trying to bring back, and it's really going through a resurgence, certainly in the Western world. I don't know about India, but it made me realize that all these problems I was seeing in the world, these issues of burnout and change fatigue and all that stuff that's really plaguing certainly the West, and I would guess India as well, with hustle culture. This stuff isn't new. I mean, it might be new for us because we're here right now, but these are ancient challenges, and they just have modern clothes on them. And so Epictetus, who was a freed slave, he said that we can't choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to those circumstances. And that's why I call myself a Stoic Futurist, because the future isn't really about being predictive. It's not about getting a crystal ball out and trying to divine the future. It's not about predicting disruption, but it's about how we understand and respond to disruption. We're expecting it to happen. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. What we can control is how we react to it. And so for entrepreneurs, people I work with, businesses I mentor, um, especially with the chaos of today's markets, if you can master how you and your business, but how you particularly, how you respond, how you lead your company, and you can ensure that you do that in calm clarity with purpose, stopping everyone else from panicking, then you've got to win. So that's what I'm working on now. It's what I'm kind of passionate about, amongst other things, is doing the Stoic Futurism.
So basically, higher education isn't the first place people think of what it comes to entrepreneurship. How
Mm.
has your background there shaped your approach to businesses and technology? And what lessons might Indian founders draw from it?
Higher education doesn't seem like a natural breeding ground for entrepreneurs, though I would say where I currently work, we're probably better than other institutions. There is a priority on making research more translatable into money, into business. However, it's not natural for that. The academic kind of method is very prohibitive in terms of actually taking research ideas and making them into business realities, because academics aren't business people. But it has shaped me in big ways, higher education. Universities are complex, slow-moving systems, and they've forced me to figure out how to work within those confines, to have patience, to have long-term impact, understanding that the university will be here for decades to come, and that I need to figure out how to make that work for me, in terms of my work for me, in terms of my day-to-day job. But so these things have kind of become incorporated into how I work, and what I've taken away from that is that learning is important. I think entrepreneurs are often so caught up in the hustle that they don't think about what they can learn. And so often when I'm dealing with other founders, with talking with other MBA students, the question I would say to them whenever they're complaining about something or having some issue is, well, what can we learn from this? We might have fallen off the wagon, fallen off the horse, whatever the term you'd like to use is, but ultimately, what can we learn from this? How can we make this setback make
Right.
us better? Which I think is a huge thing. Is that there's always an opportunity, even in failure, to benefit, to create a more powerful survival mechanism for a founder to be more adaptive. And Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world in the ancient world, the Roman emperor, said, "The obstacle is the way." So it's not like we're looking towards a destination and everything that comes up, every obstacle, every challenge, every setback is a bad thing. It's like no. Once you look in front of you and you realize what's in front of you can be to your benefit, even when it doesn't seem like it is, then you're able to see the learnings. You're able to see how every setback and every problem is actually making you more resilient, more tough, more able to lead your business, more able to go and do what you need to do. And so if you see it in that light, it seems less like a setback and more like some kind of blessing, in a weird kind of way. And that's what I want people to believe.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. Even I also apply this for my benefits, like in education or in a business, something. So let's
Mm,
talk about resilience versus hustle. In India,
mm.
hustle culture is celebrated mostly, and we see entrepreneurs working 24/7, booming out, and still wearing it like an honor. From
Mm.
your perspective, is that sustainable, or do you see a better way forward to do such things to make it
Yeah,
better for entrepreneurs?
yeah, absolutely. Hustle culture is a great facet of Indian entrepreneurial culture. Um, you guys work hard, and that's awesome. And it has its place. Like working hard has its place, and in other parts of the world that don't work hard, gosh, they need to work hard, right? If they're going to stay prosperous, they need to work hard. Um, but hustle culture is not a mechanism for strategy. It's not a strategy. You can't just think my business will succeed because I work 16, 18-hour days. That's not going to work. So hustle culture will get you through survival. It'll get you through those crunch times. That's what we call it in tech and coding. Crunch time. When you've got a deadline, you've got to get that that app or that product out as quickly as possible. That hustle culture can have its place with certain seasons like that. It's not a lifestyle though. It's not sustainable. It leads to burnout. I've seen this in higher education. I've seen this in startups. People grind and then they crash. So you've got to figure out what is sustainable. Seneca, who's another prominent Stoic, he said, "Life is long, and if you know how to use it." So
That's
life
great.
is long. Life is long if you know how to use it. It's not long if you don't know how to use it. You will burn yourself out to death. And so hustle's great, but hustle needs focus. Without focus, it's just noise, and it just becomes an all-consuming burnout. And so Stoicism teaches us that to conserve our energy for what? For the things that actually are within our control. Not just working for the sake of working. We need to have focus. And the entrepreneurial angle for that, the really important one, is if you burn out as a founder, your company burns out, right?
That's
Or
true.
or you wreck your team, right? But if you build resilience, so the opposite of burnout is resilience. It's giving your business more endurance. It's enabling your business to be there in the future. It's what sustainability essentially is. And you got to realize, as a leader, if you're a founder, you're a leader. Your team mirrors your energy. When you look at your team, they look at you. And if you're calm and you're consistent and you're productive, they're going to be calm, consistent, and productive. And they're going to be resilient as well, because they're going to say, oh, that bad thing happened in the market today, but my leader is cool with it. We're going to deal with it. Okay, well, we'll just knuckle down and we'll move on. So there's an element of leadership here. There's an element of, so there's the personal element here of if you're resilient, but there's a leadership element as well, where if you're resilient, people see that and people are inspired by that.
So, as you said, resilience. So, I have to ask one thing, that resilience is the ultimate competitive advantage for the founders or
Mm.
for a young founder here who's starting at uncertainty, like whether it is a AI disruption, intense competition, or the funding of crunch. What does resilience look like in a practice for you?
Mm. Yeah, great question. Resilience sounds abstract, and it is probably a bit of a complicated English word, so I apologize for that. But
No issue.
yeah, all good. But in practice, it just basically means when everything's chaotic and everything's changing, which is the world we live in right now, it's brutal, that you're steady. You're able to stand. You're able to endure the wind and the waves that are threatening to kick you off your feet. Marcus Aurelius, again, through wars and plagues in ancient Rome, he reminded himself. He wrote a diary. This is stuff to himself, and he wrote, "You have power over not Roman armies, not the gods, to pray to the gods and make things happen. But he said you have power over. He had power over his mind, not outside events. So we just got to keep reminding ourselves of that. That
Peter, I
though.
think your network is fluctuating.
Oh, sorry. Is it okay now?
Your internet is fluctuating, I guess.
Oh,
Now
okay.
it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay, now it's okay. Do you want me to start again?
Continue where you stop.
Okay. Do you want me just to start again
No,
from
no,
the
no,
response?
no, no,
No?
no.
Okay. So yeah, Marcus Aurelius, he says, you have power over your mind, not outside events. And he said that to himself. The most powerful man in the world, in the ancient world, said that of himself. And that's what entrepreneurs need to remember, because the world is chaotic. One day your company will be successful, the next day you're not. And that could be market fluctuations, that could be competitors, it could be your star employee leaves. It could be a whole bunch of different things. but ultimately you can't control the market. You can only control you and yours. The small things in your life. And so realizing that gives you a sense of purpose and stability. It doesn't make you feel fearful. It makes you go, well, I can only control this. So I'm not going to worry about this other stuff. I'm just going to do my best. And so today, in terms of practical stuff, resilient means, reflection, means daily reflection. It could mean journaling like Marcus Aurelius did, where he wrote down stuff to himself in his diary. It could mean figuring out how to automate the bits in your life that you want to automate. You don't want to be drowning in admin. That's stuff you want to control. So if you can outsource that to AI or some staff members to help you out with that, that allows you to be more present in the moment, more able to lead your companies, more able to be creative, to do the deep work. The deep work you need to do as a founder is to not waste your time with boring rubbish. You need to control that stuff, get it off your plate, so you can do the really important strategic stuff. And extending that outward, when it comes to investors, investors trust founders who don't flinch, who aren't going to be sporadic and chaotic and fly off the handle. Customers also, they trust companies that don't wobble, that don't fluctuate, that don't release unstable, bad products. And so resilience, ultimately, that kind of resilience of stability starts with you as the founder. It ripples out through your entire business, and so I'm really big on resilience for that reason. I'm really big on resilience for that reason. And so you've got to figure out what the strategies are to build more resilience into you, and then when you've built them into you, you can build them into your company.
So I think you really admire Mark's words.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So now we are talking about going global. Like many founders in India want to take their products global,
Mm.
like into markets like Australia and the UK and the US. For your experience, what do you often miss, and how can they prepare better for succeed? For your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Indian founders think of going global, I think the common mistake, and I've got a lot of fantastic Indian founders in my MBA program that I know quite well, so I'm quite familiar with the culture and perspectives and all that, and some of them are amazing. But the common mistake I think is that they assume that speed, price, and hustle are the three factors that Westerners care about. And it's probably because Westerners say that. So that's probably a fair assumption. However, in Western markets, that's not really what buyers want, particularly if you're dealing with other Australian or US businesses. I can speak particularly of Australia because I'm Australian. But the big currency in the West is trust. And I think some of the bad actors coming from India and other countries are to blame for that as well. There's a lot of scammers and things like that. And so Indian entrepreneurs probably do need to work extra hard to build trust. But regardless of that, a lot of what we do should in the West, what I have to do is I have to meet with people. I have to shake hands. I have to buy coffees. I have to grab a beer. These are how you build trust networks in the West, is to actually build friendships and show that you're a trustworthy person. It's communication 101. And so, it's, and beyond that, contracts and things like that, proof of consistent delivery are important. Governance basics are important. It's not just simply the ability to crank out product. So a great example of that, an Indian example of that is Infosys. It's a great Indian success story. They broke into the US, and how they do that, they didn't do it on price. Not just price. They won by showing that they could operate with Western style governance and reliability. They built trust networks in the US, and they're a huge success because of it now. So there is a lot there. Indian founders are, again, I want to make this very clear: strong on hustle, strong on adaptability, and those are really great building blocks for getting products and the initial kind of building blocks of how to get a business off the ground. But it has to be packaged into a credible trust package, and a strong case study at home. A strong way of demonstrating that is, or I guess a principle is that one strong case study is worth 1,000 cold calls. So resilience here. Is everything okay? I can't hear.
I think you left the chat because your voice and your video is not available at that few minutes ago. Now you are available.
I'm good now?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want me to repeat the answer again?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yes, it's the products global. So when Indian founders think about going global, the common mistake is assuming that their speed and their hustle and their price will speak for itself. I think, though, in Western markets, what buyers really want is beyond just value and clarity, which I think are basics for all products, but they want trust. They want to a sense that if they're going to buy from you, they're going to get what they pay for, and that's not just, I guess, consumer level buyers, but other businesses that might buy from you. Australian businesses in particular, they want to do business with someone they know. They want to shake their hand. They want to go for a coffee. They want to go for a beer. They want to feel like they can talk with that person, that when they contact that person, they're not going to get a call center. They're going to get that person. They're going to have that one-on-one relationship with that founder or that representative. So those trust networks are huge, and that's the really important thing. So yeah, you can have the best price, you can have the best ability to crank out products, but if you're not reliable, if you're not considered trustworthy, if you're not consistent, that's a huge problem. I think some of these perceptions, unfortunately, are due to bad actors coming from India and other places, scammers, things like that. So there are some perceptions there that you have to overcome. Those are just a reality. It's not something that can't be overcome. It's absolutely something that can be overcome, but it has to be overcome via building trust with the consumer, with all the other business. And Infosys is a great example of that. It's a fantastic Indian success story. They broke into the US not from just competing on price, but they won it by showing that they could operate with the same kind of trust mechanisms that Western companies do. So that's governance, contracts, compliance, but also just that they had relationships in the US, and the same is true for Australia. So again, Indian entrepreneurs, Indian people generally are really strong on hustle, really strong on adaptability, but it has to be packaged into a credibility, trust networks. And I'd say one strong relationship is worth 1,000 cold calls. I was talking to Prasoon about this the other day, is that you just got to focus on individual people and building those case studies and them trusting you, trusting your product, and that is way more valuable. It's harder. It's way easier to do 1,000 cold calls because you don't care about those people. You don't have to invest in those people. You don't have to buy them a coffee. But 1,000 cold calls aren't really going to get you loyal customers. So you got to do the work, and that's a difficult thing. And so I would say resilience here means not just having personal grit, the grit to hustle and just keep going, but it's building trust with yourself and your organization and your customers.
I also think that trust is the key factor for your business, and trust is everything. Without trust, nothing will happen in a good way.
Yeah. If you don't have trust, you are basically a scammer because you're just trying to rip people off and then leave. And we don't want to Indian entrepreneurs or any entrepreneurs to be like that. We want to build businesses that last.
So, what about the AI opportunities? Like AI is everywhere, mind right now. You have worked
Mm.
with AI in higher education. From your perspective, what is
Mm.
the real opportunity here for entrepreneurs? Should they be worried or should they be excited for the AI opportunity for their future?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. The AI is a hard one because I think it's both a threat and an opportunity. Um, you know, you can't compete with it. You can't just get 10,000 staff members and a bunch of encyclopedias and try and compete with AI. It's just not going to work. ChatGPT is going to beat you every day doing that. So we have to understand, like, look, you can't really beat that thing. So we have to think, how can we use it? How can it be used when everyone's, releasing products that are AI powered or doing their work using AI? We need to think, how can we best use this new technology in a way that helps us as opposed to harming us? So Epictetus, another great Stoic who knew nothing about AI, he said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it, but wish for everything to happen as it does." And what he means by that is that things in the world are just going to happen, and you just got to accept that and deal with it. You can't stop the wind, you can't stop the sun, arcing through the sky, and so you just need to live life assuming that things are going to happen the way they naturally do. And so AI is almost a force of nature now. We just have to understand. And so you just need to live life assuming that things are going to happen the way they naturally do. And so AI is almost a force of nature now. We just have to understand that it's here for good. We have to roll with those punches, so to speak, and we need to use it. The smart move is to embrace AI, and the real opportunity is to use AI to get rid of the work that we don't need, to use it to automate what we don't want to do, to lower costs, yes, absolutely, but to get rid of the stuff that's not really producing value, admin work, things like that. We want to focus on strategy. Get AI to do your notes. Get AI to do your scheduling and drafting your emails and whatever it is. You want to do strategy. You want to do leadership. You want to acquire customers, right? And so that's the entrepreneurial payoff. AI lets you scale, lets you increase your output with quality without increasing headcount. So it's business resilience. It's not just a personal resilience, although you can use it for personal stuff, obviously. So that's the main benefit of AI, what it can do for you. But you need to understand it needs to kind of be part of this resilience, Stoic resilience package, where you need to not outsource your thinking to it. That's a major temptation, particularly for an Indian person who might not have a good command of English, but they want to break into the Western market, is they can get the AI to speak for them effectively all the time. You don't want to do that. You don't want it to take your voice. Let it help you write some emails, but make sure they're your emails, they're your ideas. Make sure the boring work is done by the AI, but the quality work is done by you. That's really important. That's where I think AI is going to be heading. Otherwise, we're just going to get dumber together.
So, a lot of founders caught up in the fastest growth, unicorn status, and
Mm,
excites. But what excites you often talk about playing the long game, about
mm.
wisdom, resilience, and impact. If you had to share a simple playbook for building not just a startup but also a meaningful life and legacy, what would it look like for you?
Yeah, that's a huge question. So I guess my playbook kind of has three parts. So first, that you want to have agency over prediction. So you want to be able to deal with the future. And again, you can't control markets. You can only control your response to markets or response to whatever happens. The second point would be you want to have resilience as a discipline. You want to discipline yourself to be resilient. So quick hacks, the kind of stuff you'd see on YouTube. This, 5 things to do to deal with X. Those kind of quick hacks will fade. Those, outsourcing things will fade most of the time. But daily habits, the things you can do every single day consistently, they create staying power. They create the kind of discipline that when you go to the gym and you exercise a muscle, the muscle gets bigger. Daily practices for your mind and for your soul, I guess. And you want to align all those things. Third thing, so integration over balance. So it's a big thing in the West. I don't know about India, but it's a big thing in the West to have work-life balance. I've been saying to people for years, I don't believe in work-life balance. I don't believe that you have your work thing over here and your life thing over there. I don't think that's good. Rather, I talk about integration. So you have all your passions and your loves and your things that move you and your disciplines, and you integrate them into your life. And so you have this life that's a package of things that you like doing, things that motivate you. And if they don't, go do something else. That's an
Yeah.
integrated life. You don't want to just juggle these different things that don't make any sense. So all the stuff I'm pursuing in my life, I would say I'm passionate about doing them. And when I wake up every morning, yeah, sometimes it's hard to go to work, but I want to go to work. And so, yeah, that's the kind of life you want to try and build for yourself. So you're not just hustling. You want to have a proper focus about what you're trying to achieve, and you want to be all for it, whether it be going to work or picking up the kids or playing sport or whatever it is you're doing, that they're all part of this integrated thing called you. Particularly as a founder, particularly as an entrepreneur, and you want to. So those are the 3 things in my playbook, and you want to make sure they're aligned and there's a shared purpose around how you're pursuing these things. Here's a controversial point, though. So to an extent, because we're all kind of involved in startups, we all want to find that unicorn. We want to find that billion-dollar company that we can just be like, yep, I got it from nothing to $1 billion, and then I sold it to Microsoft. Yeah, we all want that, right? That'd be amazing. But yeah, that'd be good. But it's not realistic for most of us. And I would say that with the world being what it is, the world's slowly becoming deglobalized. The advantage of having huge, massive companies that can just kind of come in and buy startups up is slowly fading. AI is making it so easy for smaller and medium-sized businesses to compete with multinationals. Again, these are monolithic organizations that can't move easily, that they're not agile, they're not adaptable, and so over time they're going to get outcompeted because these other systems like AI can be used to outcompete them. So although I think there will always be some unicorns, I think there'll be a lot less massive companies out there in the future. This is just my prediction, to purchase your startup for millions and millions of dollars. So I think those companies are going to go the way of the dinosaurs, which were also huge creatures that couldn't survive. So I think the future belongs to nimble, values-driven ventures, like Indian entrepreneurs. And so the imperative is to build resilience in yourself and then in your company. And that's how you create a business that outlasts hype, because that's what a lot of these unicorns are. There's a lot of hype around them. And ultimately, you want to really prepare your business so it echoes into eternity, which is, again, the words of Marcus Aurelius. What you do now echoes into eternity. You don't want to create a flash in the pan business. You want to create a business that is actually producing value. So when you do sell it to someone, it doesn't just get integrated into some other product suite and disappear, but it's something that, this is actually a full-fledged business and it's worth money. This is fantastic, and someone else will go and take it to the next step and the next step. That's the kind of legacy you want to create, because that's what you're doing with yourself if you're being a good Stoic futurist.
So, Peter, overall, I want to ask, how will you encourage new entrepreneurs for their businesses? Overall, within this conversation, how will you encourage and inspire them? in the perspective, from your
Yeah,
perspective, like
yeah. I mean, if I could kind of leave everyone with one thought, one encouragement, it's it's not to build for speed, although there is a place for speed, but yeah, to build for endurance. Again, resilience beats hustle every day, and alignment, integration outlasts hype. And when you get more out of yourself, you get more out of your business. You get more out of your people. You get more out of the market. So, yeah, everything starts with you, because that's the most you can control is yourself, and then the next thing you can control is whatever's around you. So that's my encouragement, is that it's a tough world out there, but it doesn't have to be as tough when you focus on what you can actually change, as opposed to what you'd like to change, which would be your share price or something.
that's true.
Hmm.
So, Peter, this has been such a powerful conversation with you. We have explored Stoic philosophy and the myth
Hmm.
of hustle culture, resilience, and strategy, and even
Hmm.
how Indian entrepreneurs can expand globally with long-term vision.
Hmm.
For our listeners, a big takeaway today is this: entrepreneurship is just about the speed and the scale of the business. It's also a calm resilience and the wisdom play the long game.
Yeah,
So thank you, Peter, once again for being our very first guest on Generation X.
it's my pleasure. Yeah,
Thank you for
I'm really
your time. Thank you for your time.
yeah, I'm really excited to see where you guys get on, and yeah, it's a real pleasure.